You can turn $5,000 into $100,000 by holding just 5 altcoins at any given time. In this video, I'm going to talk about 5 altcoins that I would buy right now, and then the strategy that I would play over the next year or so to be able to maximize gains that we see from that portfolio. In this video, I'm also going to talk about the price predictions for the 5 coins I'm going to talk about, and then look at the strategy from taking profits from these coins and adding them to new ones down the line. So guys, hit the like button. Let's get on with it. Now guys, yesterday the Ethereum ETF gets approved. One of the most bullish and exciting things happening in crypto, but the market dipped. Why? Well, because obviously that news was already factored in. People were selling for profits. But don't worry, this is the Bitcoin chart versus the Wyckoff accumulation, which we've been talking about over the last few weeks. And you can see that ever since the spring phase, now in my opinion, we are kind of up towards this SOS phase, but I might have been wrong. We may just be in this LPS. Either way you look at it, we see a bit of consolidation and then we see an uptick, okay? Bit of consolidation, uptick, and then phase E, which is going to be the explosive altcoin season, which is really not that far away. But the best thing about times like this is when Bitcoin and Ethereum have a little bit of a red day, all of the altcoins bleed heavily, which gives us perfect entry opportunities, and why I wanted to bring you this video today. Now, while we build our portfolio, we need to understand this. There's a path to altcoin season, which goes Bitcoin, Ethereum. We're seeing this phase 2 happening now as Ethereum's been running very hot against Bitcoin. We then go into a large cap period and then altcoins. And yes, there are other coins that kind of break this model, okay, but we need to understand that this model is fairly reliable, which means that we do need to have exposure to large caps because there are small caps that might not perform as well as people think, even though they offer potential for great return. Now, I just want to take this opportunity to pat you on the back because you're paying attention to crypto when most people out there are not. Look at the interactions right now on Lunar Crush. Interactions are at an all-time low, while Bitcoin's pretty much near an all-time high, and Ethereum ETF, which is the most bullish piece of news ever, has just been approved. Absolutely crazy, okay? Why is no one paying attention right now? Well, because they're degens, they aped in when the markets were too hot, and now they're feeling sorry for themselves and buried their head in the sand, hoping that it all blows over in time and they can come back to the markets and start buying tops again. But we're smart, okay? You are smart, you're here, we're going to buy the bottoms. Now, with all the tokens that I'm going to talk about today, there's no need to ask where you can buy them. You can buy them on Bitunix, which is linked down below in the description. It's non-KYC and non-VPN, so wherever you are in the world, you should be able to access this platform and buy whatever tokens you so wish. They will list every token that I ask them to, so write down below any tokens that you want them to list, and they'll go ahead and list them. They already have all the coins that I'm going to talk about on this video. Don't you worry. Now remember, we need exposure to large caps and small caps. Therefore, the first one we're going to talk about today is a larger cap and the largest of the caps of different cryptos that we're going to talk about today. Now, in any good portfolio, I think you need exposure to a decent layer 1. Now, throughout the bull market, I've been very keen on Solana, but that's because I got in at $8. It's now worth like $170. I made good money on it, but therefore the kind of run to the upside is not so good for it right now because it's already pretty big. However, Ton Network has a smaller market cap, and we will look at the price prediction for Ton in just a moment. But I'm very keen on Ton because it's the native layer 1 blockchain of none other than Telegram, which has 800 million worldwide users, which is continuing to grow all the time. If just 10%, 20% of those users start to get onboarded into crypto, start to use actively Ton wallets, there is a potential in the future that this could become the everything app. This could be the network of that everything app, and that is very exciting. Also, you can see on the Ton network, they started to build decentralized applications, or dApps. They make it very easy for you as an individual to go and create a business. You can go and build a launchpad. You can go and build all sorts of other things on these decentralized applications with no coding knowledge required. You can see that they're backed by pretty much the biggest names across crypto. And if you understand that VCs are a key element to pump the markets in certain periods of time, like the period of time we're just about to enter, you need to know that there's some names that you should know about. Pantera is one, Animoca Brands is another, GSR is another, Hashkey, another absolute monster. Why? Because these guys have the capital to be able to pump markets and drive retail FOMO. That's going to see some good growth in Ton network. Now, as you can see, Ton has a rather big market cap of $21 billion. So why have I selected it? Well, lots of you will be like, well, just go for small caps because, you know, they got way more potential upside. They have way more potential upside, but they've also got way more potential to do nothing or to go to zero. Ton won't do that, okay? Ton is almost guaranteed, in my opinion, to see a 5x. What's important about that? Well, if I've got a $5,000 portfolio and 1,000 of those dollars is put into one coin that's going to pretty much guarantee, although obviously not financial advice and all that drama, guarantee a 5x. What does it do? Well, it means that we don't see any loss. Well, because if the 4 others go to 0, which of course they're not going to because I'm not an idiot, okay? I'm not dumbass. I've chosen better ones. Then we're still covered, okay? Well, because the 5x from that $1,000 is now worth $5,000, it covers the rest of it. It's a safer bet, okay? Also, earlier on, you're going to see pumps in the larger caps as VCs pump these coins. You can ride some pumps and then we can take profits. And I'll talk about that later on. So let's have a look. Where should we enter? Well, in my opinion, it's not necessarily the best time to enter into any coin as soon as you look at the chart. Okay, so what we need to find is buy zones. You can see that we have nice buy zones here. For TON, I have made them into these nice purple boxes, which you can find clearly on the chart. This one here sits at around $5.78. How do we identify the buy zone? You see these big green candles indicate big buying pressure in a certain period from where we had some sideways action. So what we're looking for is a bit of sideways, big candle, okay? And then you draw your box around the little bit of sideways, and then if the price returns into this zone again, we anticipate that the big money that was happy to buy here will return and start to buy more, okay? Very straightforward, very simple. Therefore, we set up our buy zone here. We can right click and set an alert on tradingview.com, or we can go and set a limit order over on Bitunix. Very straightforward, right? Set a limit order. If the price gets into there, we buy our $1,000 worth of TON in this particular scenario. But obviously, you need to research this first because I'm not a financial advisor. I could be wrong. Now I know all of you are complete degens and you want smaller market cap coins. Don't worry guys, I've got you covered. And the next few coins I'm going to talk about are all carefully selected in that they fall within certain narratives. Now obviously there are other coins out there that you could put into a portfolio of 5 or so coins very easily. But I've chosen these ones as it's a nice balance on market cap and narratives. Also with these 5 coins, we're hedging our bets for when certain narratives pump. And when certain narratives pump, what we're going to do is take some money from the coins that have been pumping and move it into others. So the next one we're going to talk about is Clearpool Finance. Why Clearpool Finance? Well, it sits in, guess what? Real world assets. Real world assets, you probably saw in sort of March time, pumping like crazy because of a news article from BlackRock about tokenization of assets. Therefore, there are a bunch of real world asset tokens, Ondo Finance, and a few others that will do extremely well. And we talked about Ondo Finance when it was down in this zone the other day, and since then, Ondo Finance has been pumping pretty aggressively. It's up 44% and continuing to grow, having tested these highs up here. And lots of people were like, why are you telling me about these large caps? These coins can't go anywhere. Well, during the last week since you wrote that comment, you could have been up 44%, whereas instead you'd probably be in some crappy small cap coins like me that have been bleeding towards the downside. I would be far happier if I was up 44% in a large cap than down in small caps. So let's all have a little cry to ourselves. Anyway, just kidding. Ondo Finance is a larger market cap coin and is already all-time highs. Therefore, we've already got exposure to TON. I still hold Ondo, but it's not suitable for this 5-coin portfolio right now, in my opinion, of course. Therefore, we're going to go and look down the ladder at some slightly smaller cap real-world assets, like Clearpool Finance. Why am I interested in this one? Well, because of this. When that news came out before from BlackRock, Clearpool Finance, in about a couple of days, and it was from about here, did an absolutely monster pump. Okay, so it went from about 0.17 and it did 117% in the best part of 4 days. It now finds itself back down there in the, guess what, buy zone area of here. Okay, you can see that we had the pullback and then we get that aggressive pump out. This shows me that this was a buy zone. And yes, there is another buy zone lower down that if you were paying attention and you marked up your buy zones like I've been telling you for weeks and weeks, then you would have also caught this fantastic buy zone opportunity here. You can see big growth, pulls back, pumps out of this zone. Good buy zone down here. And guess what? You missed it. Therefore, if Clearpool Finance is pulling back into this area at around 0.17, I think it's pretty good value, okay? Pretty good value, but could have been better value. So what's so important about real world assets? Well, it's basically a decentralized marketplace for being able to trade stocks and shares and different types of assets. It means that you can go and buy Apple stocks and shares that have been tokenized. And that's a cool feature. It's also going to add to liquidity. It's also going to be adding to speed of transactions and other things like that. Also compliant with global markets and offers various different features. And Clearpool sitting here with around $86 million. Now also, there's a big thing happening with Binance right now. Binance are now going to start listing medium and small cap coins, which is really important because they're looking for certain quality projects which are actually driving revenue with fully doxed teams, of which Clearpool fits into that bracket. Therefore, if you can see, Clearpool has potential chance of getting listed on Binance. Only a potential chance. I'm not guaranteeing anything, and that would be extremely bullish for this particular project. Now, for Clearpool and Ondo Finance you can see is $1.4 billion, okay? Whereas Clearpool sits here around 86, okay? Which is like 15, 16x to being the market cap of Ondo at current levels of the market. Therefore, I do think that Clearpool has the potential to seeing a 20 to 30x during this bull market, which is absolutely enormous, all right? So this is a very exciting one to be paying attention to. Now, real-world assets, obviously a key area to be paying attention to, but I can't have multiple of those. Therefore, I'm going to be looking into AI. AI is a very broad term. Specifically, I want to look at AI agents. Why? Because AI agents, the future, many tech companies are investing tons of money in AI agents. And within crypto, there's now a number of AI agents that are coming out. Basically, an AI agent's kind of like having an AI assistant that can carry out tasks on your behalf, on behalf of companies. And there are a few new projects coming out very soon, which I'm going to talk about next week in a upcoming project video. And if you're subscribed to the channel, then you're going to know exactly which of those coins that are going to be launching soon, such as Aether, etc., that I may be buying or not buying. So if you want to know which new tokens are worth buying or not, make sure you subscribe to my channel. Now, you're probably like, okay, well, why Delesium over something else? Well, firstly, fits into a good narrative. Also, a decent team, and already with working products, okay? You can come down below, you can see, basically, you can create things like your AI twin that's going to be able to assist you with various different tasks and things throughout the day. Participate in social media, whatever you need it to do. You can then use this one, which they have early access for Lucy version 1, which is basically like you can just use simple language, transfer money to someone else in crypto. It's going to be linked to the blockchain. They're going to be able to go and carry out transactions and things for you. So I'm no longer going to be of use to you giving you tutorials because you're just going to be chatting to your friend Lucy all day, which breaks my heart a bit, but you know, it's fine. But simply because this token has the power to rally extremely damn hard when AI narratives kick off and trend again, okay? It's not really that technical often to finding these projects. Clearpool was another example of this. Now, we talked about AGI or Delesium on the channel back in like October, November. And then, yeah, since then, you know, early subscribers to the channel got lucky because they saw nearly a 38x, which makes it my second most successful call after Pangolin, which did a 47x to the swing high. But the best thing about this right now is while the market's been cooling off, AGI, Delesium with a small cap, has been pulling back into this zone. It dropped around 70% into a buy zone. Nice, big, healthy buy zone indicated by these big green candles here. You can see that, yes, it would have been nice to buy down here, but smaller cap still has a good chance. Now, what we can see is after this pullback, we created a ascending triangle with higher lows coming in. It's broken beyond this pattern and it's come back to retest. Therefore, Delesium in this zone right now still looks pretty decent, okay? Because also you can see that there was support found here. It's had a pump out of this area. This could be not a bad opportunity just from having a look at this chart, maybe to getting into Delesium if you missed it before at 30 cents, rather than being one of those Muppets who just buys after the green candles because it feels good. And Delesium sat here with $250 million market cap. It's not tiny. And the fact that it's been up to $500 million in a very quick move shows the kind of appetite for coins like this within this particular narrative. And I do believe the AI narrative kicking forward could see AGI doing pushes of like 20 to 30x if all goes to plan. Now the next one, and I'm aware that we are covering the AI narrative and maybe we've done it twice, even though there is still like GameFi and there's still other projects out there. GameFi is going to do really well. But I think that it's still early for GameFi projects right now. I still think there's going to be a good bit of time where we're going to see more aggressive pushes from the more kind of like technical projects within crypto, real world assets, BRC20 stuff, AI, and DePIN. Nosana, AI revolution, but it's more DePIN, decentralized physical infrastructure networks, for which there is a lot of these projects, but specifically projects that are working to support AI. These are key. Nosana, now I would personally choose to have maybe Aether in here right now, but Nosana, again, because of its reaction to market movements recently, this is a coin I'm quite interested in. Most cost-effective GPU grid, providing decentralized compute power for AI inference workloads. This is very key because there's a huge demand in this particular space that is just not being satisfied by the Web 2 market, okay? Now you can go through, learn more about what's been going on with Nosana. Now, a lot of you may have got into this particular coin slightly earlier on in the bull market, in which case, pat yourself on the back for being an absolute legend and buying down here, because I didn't buy down here. In fact, I didn't even buy until more recently, but I do hold this token. And remember this, Every coin that you think might be able to buy in down here because it's a small cap and you think it sounds really great, lots of them have just carried on doing this, okay? And maybe never get beyond that. Only a very small handful actually start to do this, and we can go and place bets on coins that do this because there will be hundreds of these potentials later on in the bull market. But right now we can kind of direct our attention to more established projects, because all we're looking for, remember, is a few X's on our 5 grand, because turning 5 grand into 100k in one swift move is pretty tricky, but turning 5 grand into like 20 grand or 30 grand is actually really easy. And then doing a 3 to 4x on 30 grand is also very easy later on in the market. And you might even find a coin that absolutely explodes and then you make loads and loads of money. Okay, what most people, however, unfortunately do is they buy into the risky small caps at the start that don't really do anything. And then later on, they start aping into these kind of larger caps when they're like here, and then they pull back against you and everyone just gets wrecked. Okay, trying to find the small caps too early on tends to just get you wrecked if that's the only exposure you're going to have. So Nosana, current market cap $367 million, which is pretty reasonable. We also have this chart pattern. We see a nice pullback. We've created the W here. We're now retesting that previous W pattern here. Because of these kind of pumps, you can see that this coin again has the ability to inspire the market to ape into it. This is what we quite like. Okay, now we can see retesting previous resistance as support. Will it stop here? I think it's a decent entry. Could go lower, of course. Believe it or not, you can. You can also make sure to turn losses in crypto if you go and exit positions. Okay, but from this particular area, I think it's a fairly good entry for Nosana. A much better entry than this was, simply. Okay, if the market piles in for the next 6 months, then obviously you're going to see downside in crypto. Therefore, if you're not willing to take downside in crypto, don't invest in crypto. Again, there's no reason why we can't see a 15 to 20x in Nosana over the next few months, especially once this bull market and altcoin season starts kicking off. Now, on to the last narrative. And why are we choosing different narratives? Well, because we're smart investors, okay? We're hedging our bets in different places. If one narrative kicks off early before the other, then fine, okay? But you don't want to be fully stacked in gaming tokens, which a lot of people are because Alex Becker's told them to be. Then see the gaming tokens haven't really been performing that much because they're much more of a retailer kind of end of the market, which means they will have their time, but maybe it's a bit early. I think some of the next key movers could be in the BRC20 ordinals niche. Now, I've talked about these quite often over the last few months, and I've talked about a specific few different projects, one of which is BFi. Has been performing pretty horribly. I still remain bullish on BFi. Another one is AudiSwap. AudiSwap, still positive. I still think that there's good things to come from AudiSwap. And as I look into AudiSwap or Ords, you can see it is sort of finding this buy zone area. Previously from this buy zone in just a couple of weeks, it did rocket up 287%. This is my point as well. If you are holding coins right now and you're kind of like feeling sorry for yourself about the bleed towards the downside, I understand it's not nice, okay? It's not nice, but you had no choice, okay? You had no choice but to buy in at certain buy zones if you wanted exposure to projects that you've done some good research on. And if they continue to bleed towards the downside, that's fine because it can recover in literally 3 or so days. And if you are continuing to DCA in to projects that you are confident on, which is what I've been doing, even though it hurts me to the core, then at some point it's going to turn around and your DCA is really going to pay off because you're going to get 280, 300%, which is like a 4x that could come in like less than a week. If you get a 4x in less than a week, you're going to completely forget about all the hardship and the sad times you had because you aped in at the top. Now, Ords looks decent, but I'm going to talk about BVM because it's a coin I've given a lot of talk and exposure to, but you can see is having a bit of a tough time. And I want to talk about setting your mind at ease about this particular project. BVM network, BRC20, and ordinals type projects do well when Bitcoin's doing well. Bitcoin hasn't really been doing a huge amount recently, apart from that kind of swift recovery, but you would still have to argue that we are kind of in this uncertainty phase as far as retail investors are concerned. And that means that new projects, specifically ones that launched, you know, around March time when the kind of like the BTC ETF stuff was blowing off, all kind of rallied towards the top. And BVM, or Bitcoin Virtual Machine, and has really been struggling as a new coin. And as someone who was basically originally buying here and first covered it on the channel when we were down here, we then saw nice pumps towards the upside. We then saw sort of a complete fall towards the downside after a couple of like launches that didn't maybe go to plan. We've seen a huge amount of FUD and stuff circulating around. But at its core, we're betting on the tech and the narrative. And the tech behind this is actually pretty cool. You can go and watch this video here and learn more about it in just a couple of minutes. But basically, it enables people to build layer 2s on top of Bitcoin. They have a revenue that's been doing 5x month on month over the last few months, which pretty much no project out there has been doing. They've had a few projects launch on top of their platform, one of which recently was Eternal AI, that many people were like, oh, it's a scam, and it caused a crash in the price of BVM. But Eternal AI has just partnered with one of the biggest, most important coins out there, Filecoin. Filecoin are not stupid. They're not going to be partnering with coins that are not squeaky clean. And what we can see by looking at this chart is that when previous narrative runs have happened for BRC20 and whatever else, you can see big kind of rushes in the market, up 189%, up 225% in just the space of a short time. And if we suddenly see Bitcoin having a continuation towards the upside, which I think is kind of pretty imminent, we're going to see bounces again in coins like this. The other day we had a bounce. We then got rejected. This was 46%. It happened in 2 days. You can see it's now kind of finding support around the similar kind of area here, and maybe kind of worth a punt because at $33 million market cap, this has the potential to do a 10x in a very short space of time once the market picks up. And the more I see FUD being like, this is a scam project, red flags all over, blah, 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 okay? This is something that makes me very much more excited because it means there's more opportunity. If everyone out there is shilling a coin and everyone's telling you that this is the best coin in the world, usually it's not, okay? This is a smaller cap coin, okay? Has a higher risk threshold than others that we've talked about in this video, but it's also the only coin within this portfolio that has the opportunity to be doing a 50x plus, which I don't really say very often on the channel. And let me show you, if this chart puts you off, this is Say Network, that basically from a launch kind of went all the way down, basically nearly 90 odd %. And then from there, within the space of a few days, just suddenly started to recover and absolutely blew up, did around 12x. This is how crypto works. A lot of people out there like panic selling on these dips. Newer coins are seeing these dips. And there are a bunch of coins that fit into this, like Planet Mojo, Gaming, and a bunch of others that have seen launches recently where they launched into a period of time when the market was hot, suddenly the market cools down, and they see downside moves. And if you search across crypto Twitter, you can see that a lot of very reputable companies like CryptoRank.io and others are talking about BVM. I think it's only a matter of time before market stability returns and coins like BVM see some significant upside. But guys, with all the coins I talked about today, I could be wrong. If you go and buy anything I talked about today, guys, it's down to you. Make sure you take ownership. Make sure you're growing up. Crypto is a grown-up's game. Make sure you do your own research. Now, guys, if you're into trading or you want to learn more about doing trading, then we've just partnered as well with CoinW, mainly because they've been kind enough to set up this very cool free group that you can go and join on Telegram through the link down below in the description. As you can see, they have different things like scalp signals. They have swing trading signals, which you can find that are updated every single day in here. They have their own team of expert traders who are basically adding different things to this all the time, and they're going to be continually adding different pieces. All you need to do to join is go and sign up for the link down below. It's going to bring you to this page. You can register for this. You don't even need to deposit any funds. But if you do want to trade actively using CoinW, then you can deposit and you can earn up to $25,000. This is only available for the next month or so. So if you want to join that free group and gain access to the free trading community partnership with the House of Crypto, then make sure you do that through the link down below in the description. Guys, I hope you enjoyed today's video. Remember, now is your opportunity to be able to find some good gains in crypto while everyone else is panicking out there. Hit the like button, subscribe. See you tomorrow.